Can you believe it? Another video back to Elan Valley in Wales. It is one of my favourite spots in the country, so you can't blame me. I had a blast going on the trip and editing it as well. I hope you enjoy this video, so let's get started. You join us bright and early on a freezing morning at Coco's Wild Camping.
Well, that was a cold one. Didn't quite realise how cold it was going to be. I think the app said it was -2 last night, but I've camped in -3 before and it was colder than that, it feels like. And when we turned up it was -3 at about 11, so I reckon in the middle of the night it could have done -5. I'm not really sure, but it's absolutely frozen outside. It wasn't too bad in the night. Justin was in his roof tent, Sam's in the back of his 110, with less insulation and maybe less layers. Justin, thankfully, 3 sleeping bags, but good on him. I can't believe it. Just turned the diesel heater on to try and warm it up in here. Maybe they could warm up in here as well, but it was really cold. It was good fun, obviously, but hopefully now the sun will come out, start to warm things up a little bit, but crikey, it was cold last night.
Usually with cameras and video, it's hard to display quite how cold things are, but I think you can tell by the fog and the frost on the ground that it was a freezing cold night. We all did survive, which is pretty good. Me and Justin woke up in the morning, Sam wasn't up yet, and we were quite worried that he was going to be dead. But thankfully, he was the warmest of us all in a nice toasty winter sleeping bag. We lit the fire in the morning just to try and warm ourselves up. The sun did start to come over the top of the hill, but as you know, in this sort of freezing weather, the fog rolls in with the sun, so it didn't really warm up. We were there for a good few hours, and the frost didn't lift at all, but it was nice to sort of be in this sort of environment, and it definitely feels like you've accomplished something when you've slept in -4 or 5 degrees. Naively, I have to say, I wasn't looking to stay at Coco's. It was Justin that put me onto it. I had heard of it before and seen a lot of pictures online. I thought it was just a single field on the top of a hill, and was I wrong? Yes, completely. It is a fantastic place to stay. Loads of different environments, lots of hills and tracks and trails. Loads of effort put into the place you stay, nice people, and I think the frost did make it feel like a bit more in a lunar landscape, but I definitely recommend it and to stay there again. Just check out the scenery around us, it was a beautiful spot to stay. You can't beat it, bacon and eggs in the morning, looking over a view like that. It's just nice to try and warm up in the sun, compare how cold our toes were against each other's last night, and plan the day ahead, because at this point we really had no idea where we were going to be heading, and thankfully Justin had the bright idea to go to our classic favourite spot of Elan Valley. After some warm food and coffee, it was time to start packing up the camp and head off onto the road. I was actually surprised, even though it was the weekend, how many vans there were when we turned up on Friday night at 11 PM. I think it was about -2. There was a good few camp vans, a Defender up on the hill, and at night it was quite hard trying to navigate this in the dark without disturbing anyone, but I think we managed to find a good spot and we didn't get in anyone's way, which is fantastic. Just as we were leaving, we stopped to admire this incredible view in the distance with the hills and that low-lying cloud and fog. It's just a beautiful morning to wake up to, and we couldn't wait to get on with the day. Right now we're heading about 30 miles away to Ryder, where Elan Valley is. I'll take a little tour around there and just take it easy and have a nice time. Wales is just a lovely place to, see incredible views, and also provides good lanes, but I think today we're just going to take it nice and easy. There's something about this weather, I think, we don't get it that often, where everything looks quite white. Obviously there's no snow, but it does make the journey of even the main roads really interesting, seeing it in this sort of condition. Thankfully the roads weren't too icy. The night before they definitely froze a little bit as we were heading to camp, but this morning it wasn't too bad, and the sun was out as well, which is good. And before long we found ourselves in Raider. Excuse the pronunciation if it's wrong. And on our left is one of my favourite shops in the area, Hafford's Hardware, where we head in after that, and you can see Justin, me and Sam with matching hot water bottles after the night before. After a bit of a walk around the local town, it was time to hit the lanes, and Justin introduced us to a new one.
So here we go, first time doing this lane. We're up in ELAN Valley again. We sort of just decided to come up here, and it's nice though because obviously I've done the same bits of ELAN over and over, so Justin is leading us up this one and I've never been up here before, so it's looking nice. It's cool seeing that truck ahead of us, make it look easy. Bit of a step there. Oh, there you go. Could have used a diff lock there, but it's a tight corner, so maybe we didn't need it. Sam looks like he's making it just fine. It's definitely warmed up a bit now since our camp. But this is a really cool spot actually. I'm so glad to have come on this new track that I've never tried before. It's a nice one, just scenic and also quite challenging. It's got a good few rock steps on it, and way! Goodness gracious. Yeah, this is a cool little track actually. It's a scenic one, but also it has a few like obstacles in it as well, because usually you have one of the two. It's like difficult and a bit like looks boring, but this one, and that's just Wales for you, has a bit of both, which is really nice, and I'm glad to come on this one. It's a new ELAN lane to add to the Arsenal, and I think we're going to head up and do some of our classic ones that I haven't done for a little while. It's good to be back up again, as you can probably imagine. Up here loads of times, but it's one of my favourite spots, so how can you blame us really?
Somehow I managed to place myself in the middle of the convoy for the entire trip. Usually it's me at the front or the back, leading or making sure that I shut the gates at the back, but this time it was nice and easy being in the middle, not having to shut any gates at all. We stopped on the top of the hill here for a little bit of sightseeing and some photos as well. I think there's something to be said about a small convoy, 3 to 4 vehicles max. There's nothing wrong with the bigger sort of groups, but they're definitely, I would say, frowned upon by people and walkers that don't really know. I think usually it is the bigger groups that go tearing around the place off-piste, but when you're just a small group of you like this, people tend not to care quite as much, and they just smile and wave, which is really nice. Right here we're heading back down to Raider, and we're going to be turning a corner and heading up across the dams into ELAN Valley. It's one of those spots that seems to just take me by surprise every time. I think it's beautiful any part of the year. It's nice to see the reservoirs back up to full capacity with water, and here we're heading across one of the bridges to the top track that leads through a farm and to the top dam. This lane does require you to go through a farm. Usually I come downwards, so this will be my first time going up, and it's just a bit more challenging, a bit more fun, but it does mean finding your way to that farm first and knowing which gate to go through, so it can be a bit daunting, but we managed to get there in the end. It's a pretty common lane. A lot of people do ask me though still. It's pretty easy to find. It ends near the top dam, and it's a really nice one to do. It starts off quite scenic, but there are a few challenging rock steps which you can take a hard line or an easier route as well. I to see a big group of bikes as well. I thought we'd shut the gate for them as it's a bit of a pain doing it without a stand. Always got to take that photo opportunity when it comes and flash for the photo as well. Not like that. I really enjoy this lane. It's nice and challenging, really good looking. This time I did have my roof tent off because I've stored it for the winter, but I still have the 28mm anti-roll bar on the back, which is a heavy duty one. Without the roof tent on there and going on quite a rocky, rock and rolly lane like this, I have to admit it was a bit much. The suspension is working really well on the road around corners. It corners like it's on rails, but once you get off-road, even though it can handle it, I do have to say the truck is rocking around quite a bit. The water container did fling out and then leaked on the corner of my bed, which is not very fun. I definitely would say going forward, I will have a look into the anti-roll bars that you can disconnect and it leaves the suspension free, but I've heard even those come with a few issues as well. But generally we had a great bit of fun on here. The sun came out for us and there's even a bit of a water splash to go through as well. It's hard to tell here, but this is quite a steep ascent up to the main rock step of the trail. Boris did manage it with ease, but it's definitely a bit more of the trickier part. Before long you find yourself at what you would call the main obstacle of the track, so I decided to get us all out and film us individually. So here we go, see how we do.
I've been down here, but I don't know about up. It doesn't look that bad. Yeah. You gonna do it? Good idea. Hang on. There you go. Here you go, look. Sam's gonna give it a go now. The steepest bit where he said a disco roll. Whee! Oh! Got a diff lock? You got a lock in?
Go left hand down a bit and then
Yeah.
turn right.
That'd be good.
More power. Yeah.
More power!
More pressure.
Yeah, don't bump it too much. You need to keep. I don't know. You, huh? Spinning. It sounded like you dip the power if you just keep it. I don't know if you keep it on or.
You're not quite on boost.
Yeah. Nah, first, but just keep the power on. I would. It's dipping and then. Yeah. Whoa. Brown trousers moment.
Jack's doing the walk of shame back to his car, ready for his big performance. What could go wrong? Huh? Nothing. Oh. No. Left a bit. Left hand down a bit. Yeah, boy. Nice.
Now it's Justin's turn in the Ranger. Obviously the Defenders can do it, so let's see how modern technology deals with it. Obviously this is a bit of a pretty truck compared to ours, so taking a slightly easier line, but does it with ease. I'm sure it's heavier than ours, but let's get some photos while he's there.
Hey!
Right, that's enough silliness for now, I think, don't you? Let's get the rest of the lane done Doesn't get much harder than that last bit, but there are some real rocky bits and some deeper water crossings, and then ending out in a river as well. The Ranger really proved itself on this trail. It is set up well, but you can tell here it's slightly lower than Defenders, and it is bottoming out a little bit, but it still fared well as it's got good armour underneath as well, and obviously Justin's a good driver, so he says. So far along this lane the water hasn't been too deep, but we're going to start finding it now. This muddy water really stinks, it must not have been used for long. And just coming up next, Sam is tackling one of the deepest and rockiest corners, and I think I'll do it as well. Uh-oh, maybe he's hung up. That one's a little bit intense, and as you can see there's some debris in the water and the grill is looking a little bit worse for wear. After that deep bit I felt like the brakes were very loose, checked it all out, seemed to be fine, and for the rest of the trip they performed perfectly, so potentially that's something to look at in the future, and I am planning on upgrading the brake system soon anyway. This is the part that people usually take photos of, the river crossing right at the end, and this is actually the lowest I've seen it. Even though the lanes, sort of water crossings and puddles, were deeper than usual, the actual river was quite low, very easy. Thanks Sam for the gate. And then it was Boris's turn to do it. Just a bit of a wheel wash, thankfully you can get some of that mud off, doing it with ease there, but it is a beautiful looking spot there, and you can't blame people for doing it. Ranger absolutely doing it with ease as well. It's nice this lane because when you do it from the top on the side of the gate, it does feel like you're trespassing onto someone's land, but there's a clear sign saying motorbikes and vehicles. As long as you stick to the path, you'll be absolutely fine, which is really nice, and you don't get that in Devon ever. It's a beautiful spot to stop with the trucks and plan to head up to the top reservoir, which is what we're doing now. You turn the corner, go up towards the dam, and then you hit the lane here.
There's no doubt if you've seen my channel before, you will have seen a video from here, I'm pretty sure. But I have to say, it is one of the best places I feel you can go in the UK. Maybe bar Scotland, as I haven't been, and there probably is a lot of other places in Wales that are also good as well. But it is a fantastic lane, I absolutely love it. After doing those two we just did, big rock steps and a few technical bits, this one is basically just bumpy, and it's a very cool lane, amazing view, especially in this light. It's just a really great place to just have a little poodle about and feel like you're absolutely in the middle of nowhere, which is really cool. We're heading to the quarry now, which is towards the end of the lane. Well, that's the furthest I've really been on this lane. I've heard that it carries on for ages and ages. So it's generally the point where I find it's best to stop, turn around. I reckon what we're going to do is stop there and have a cup of coffee and a sandwich, and then maybe turn around and head back. We're not quite sure where we're going to camp tonight. We were thinking wild camping, stopping by the side of the road. There is a place back there where there's toilets and you can park up, so that could work. Or maybe find a campsite nearby, which would be good as well. I'm not really quite sure what we're going to do, but it's quite nice that I don't know. Hey, there's quad bikes. That's pretty cool. Oh.
Right there, boy.
This is pretty cool. Probably have a lot more fun on those, to be honest. Thanks, cheers. Thanks. Cheers. Nice and dry and warm in here. Well done. Nice, cheers. Thank you, cheers.
The idea of being in those ATVs side by sides and quads is pretty cool. You do get to blast around a bit quicker than in the Defenders, but as I said, it's nice and warm and toasty with the diesel heater on and the heated seats. There's a 50-50 split, fun or warmth. This time we've gone for warmth, but maybe we'll come back here on some bikes in the future, and I'd love to do that. But check this out, we get to sort of really sedately drive through this lane and look at the view, and I feel like I'm happy with that this time. Here we are at the quarry, just a final right now as the sun's hitting the top of the hills at about 4 PM, and it's time for some lunch.
I found a branded Land Rover mud flap down there. I was like, I hope there's another one.
Probably found from last time we went off piste.
I was going to say you can maybe have it if it's the right side.
As we got to the spot, we realised the sun was going down, and by the time we got back to the dam towards Elan Valley, it was going to be dark. So we just decided to camp here, even though there was sort of half of the day left. We had some lunch, and then decided to just set up in the light and let the sun go down and set the fire there as it was getting cold already. And I think it is something to be said about getting to camp in the light. With the fire roaring and the camp set up, it was time to settle in for the night, and what a spot we had. It was lovely to just sit around the fire and watch the sun go down on our own, and we thought we wouldn't have anyone join us. But look at that. Some headlights came around the corner, and we were a bit worried about who it was, but it turned out to be some friendly lads in a Sprinter, and they came to say hello.
Yeah, good, yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, you're the bloke off YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
You're famous, mate.
I absolutely couldn't believe it that he recognised Boris, and it was great to see them and share the spot with them as well. I may have forgotten to record any footage of our burgers and sausages, so just as Sam was finishing his last one, I managed to get this. Sorry about that. Even though 4 PM till midnight is quite a long time to just sit at camp, somehow we managed to pass the time and had a fire for the whole time, even though we had limited logs. It was a beautiful spot and one to be remembered forever. But now it was time to hit the hay, stay warm and get some good night's rest. I always like to be up nice and early in the mornings when you're wild camping, just in case anyone turns up. But generally here, you're so far away from anything and on your own. All you've got is a farmer, and I hope that they're okay with us being here. It's only one night anyway. Justin brought all the food for both breakfast and the dinner as well, and he sorted us out this morning as well. We shared the burner, I did the eggs, he did the bacon, and it was nice to just sit there and have another breakfast in this incredible view. What a cool spot to look at all the trucks and just admire the landscape. It's an awesome spot for some photos of the trucks. We got Justin's awning out, and hopefully I'll see those over on Brookwell soon. After a great camp and a nice breakfast, it was time to head off and pack down for the last time. We were heading back towards civilization, take a look at the dams, visitor centre, and with a final destination of Baffle House, which we've never been to before, and we'll get there soon.
That does happen quite often, doesn't it?
What a way to start the morning, a absolutely beautiful lane on the way home. And look at Boris, looking a little bit dishevelled after the lanes, but definitely full of battle scars, which is always good. Generally it is a very quiet location, but coming on a weekend, even in the winter, will bring other vehicles. It's cool to see more bikes and people enjoying this lane as it should be. So down through the valleys we go towards the visitor centre, and as we crossed this bridge we saw a big group of landies, and it was nice to see them heading up to where we were for a day of fun smashing around in the mud.
So I think that's our last bit of off-roading for the trip done. We've been driving for about an hour now, heading towards home back down to Devon, and on the way back it's going to be our first stop ever at Baffle House. It's on the way past. We're actually in Abergavenny now, and I think it's about 15 minutes away. And we're quite lucky to basically have it on the road on the way home, which is really nice. A nice winding road all the way back. Lots of low-lying cloud on all the tops of the mountains as you're coming back down. I'm looking forward to visiting this place, so I think I'll be taking you in there. Got Sam and Justin following suit, and we'll take a look in there soon, so be there next.
That's Sam on the CB shouting Baffle House in a German accent, which was our trend for the day. I think we said it about 100 times. And just left off of camera, you can see Will Roberts of Utopia Restorations. Just by coincidence, bumping into him and his friend. Unfortunately, I didn't get any footage of him, but really nice to bump into him as usual. It's great to be visiting here for the first time. I've been wanting to come for quite a while, and it is basically on the way home from Wales for us. The parking is very tight, but thankfully, as you saw, they managed to squeeze us right on the end there at the front, and even got a story for their Instagram. It's time for us to head in and take a look around and have some lunch. It really does live up to its reputation. It's built online through videos and photos. It's got a good cafe, nice lunch, and a really good cup of coffee as well. After we are done, we'll head up to the shop. They've got lots of good gear for biking, nice clothes, and a cool place to just browse. We picked up a few bits and pieces, and Sam really wanted to buy the BMW that's just around the corner, and I have to say it is an absolute beauty. Just as the rain started to draw in, it was time to hit the road and head off. Our trip was coming to an end, but there was still a 3-hour drive home in front of us, and the rain started to pour down as we were heading over the bridge towards England and then back to Devon as well. We managed to stay in convoy for the whole time, Justin holding back in his lovely new Ranger compared to our horrible Defenders, and in the end, by the time it was dark, we got to Exeter, and that's when we started to split off. Now I can reminisce on what a great trip it was. I had a brilliant time with these two lads. People say that summer is for camping, but I believe strongly that winter, frosty nights and extreme temperatures are what makes a camping trip great. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and another trip to Elan Valley again. I hope I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.